I'm AC Brown, and you're listening to Is My Aura On Straight, a podcast designed to help you start living from your core instead of your conditioning. Each week, we'll discuss topics ranging from human design, astrology, metaphysics, spiritual self-development, and everything in between. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Is My Aura On Straight. I am your host, AC Brown. I am your spiritual doula, intuitive strategist, psychic channel, and human design expert. And I'm also an entrepreneur. And I want to thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Is My Aura On Straight. And today rounds up our top 5 picks for each aura type in love. Thank you guys so much for enjoying them. I've been getting lots of comments and emails and all of that stuff. I'm still offering relationship readings. It'll be in the link in the bio. If you want to get a relationship reading, definitely I would do so as soon as you can. I probably will be removing that offering when I relaunch my website. I'm not sure yet, but not I don't want to say removing it. I want to say that I will be tweaking it a little bit differently. The way I do it now. So, but if you want to get a reading about your relationship, definitely use a link in the bio in my Instagram or in the show notes. There'll be a link there. So today we're going to round up the top 5, draft picks for each aura type with our reflectors. I did not forget about you. And I just want to give a big shout out to all of the reflectors who DM me and email me and how they feel really seen and heard. I have reflector friends, so it warms my heart when reflectors reach out to me and they feel like that I am, also putting them in the mix, because a lot of people don't necessarily understand reflectors, but I've cracked the code because I have friends who are reflectors and I watch them move and I see them being successful and I see how they're doing it. So, hey, reflectors, love ya. So this is for the reflector. So I want to give a little bit of a disclaimer here at the beginning of this, because since reflectors are very unique people, there's only 2%, less than 2% of them in the population. Reflectors, I always tell reflectors, and so, any type of advice or anything that I give you guys, regardless of what your aura type is, use your better judgment. But for reflectors, most importantly, listen to your energy. There are some types that are better for you, and which we'll go over. But because reflectors can mirror other people, I always say if you can mirror that person and it feels good to you, then go ahead and mirror it, regardless of what their aura type is, because reflectors are really multidimensional chameleons. They can really, they feed off of other people. So a positive attitude, a positive energy is going to go a longer way for a reflector than someone's aura type, because that will trump it for them, because they need to feel good. They need to feel recognized. You need to love them. You need somebody who's going to, they need somebody who's going to respect their energy, who's going to honor their need for consistency, to not pressure them. So that's really important. So let's get into this. So my first pick for reflectors, if you have a choice, would be a projector. Shockingly, a projector would be a great fit for a reflector because of the whole recognizing them. You both need to recognize each other's value, loving each other, honoring and respecting, trusting their insight. Projectors are already waiting for invitations, waiting to be recognized. And so reflectors, they're also, have their own waiting cycle. And you have, you have two people who have to really go with the flow. And in most cases that does work. Sometimes it can get a little convoluted, and you might have a projector that is extremely conditioned generator wise, so that might get in the way. But overall, I like the projector and reflector relationship because it is a nice mirror to each other. Both of them need consistency. Even though projectors might try and deny that they need consistency. Projectors do need consistency. That is part of the success of projectors. Little tidbit, and I'll talk about that, later on in some other podcasts. But projectors really need consistency, and so since reflectors thrive off of consistency, it is really a good match for them. Another thing too, what I like, and might not be, something that people might, say, oh, well, that's a good thing, but I think it's a good thing because reflectors and projectors experience a lot of disappointment and bitterness. They have that sort of baseline of they know what each other goes through with trying to force things. So especially for two people who don't know that they are reflectors or projectors, they understand not trying to force stuff and trying not to do those things. It is really, really important for reflectors and projectors to not force things. So when they come together, they can have that common ground, like, oh, let's just go with the flow with stuff. Not in the relationship, like make sure somebody is clear with you, but go with the flow with life, with work. Projectors need to see consistency as well, because reflectors they need consistency like water. It's very imperative. So if you know a reflector who is not consistent in things, they probably are all over the place. They're probably very unhappy. They need that routine. They need to have things going for them that are consistent. And so if you are a reflector and you have a projector mate and they see that, it will rub off on them. So that's my first draft pick for reflectors would be projectors. My second, surprisingly, would be manifesting generators. And there's a few reasons why, and I'm going to tell you. And one of them is because reflectors, they need consistency, and manifesting generators, they run away from consistency. That is like kryptonite to them. So seeing someone being very consistent with the way that they do things, it will help a manifesting generator focus. And the recognition that a reflector needs, a manifesting generator will give that to them when they need their help. So it's going to be a true needing of help kind of thing. When a manifesting generator comes to you for help, they really need you, because they have this thing, and we've talked about this in previous podcasts, that they tend to not need you because they want to do everything so fast. They want to go ahead and take over and get it done the right way, as that you hear manifesting generators say the right way a lot, but it's just their way. It's not necessarily the right way. It's just their way of doing stuff. So when you have a manifesting generator who really needs a reflector, it is pretty magical, just the same with a manifesting generator and a projector. But it's few and far between as far as when they need you. But when they do, it's going to be really nice. And since reflectors can't really handle pressure, a manifesting generator is not going to pressure them, because they already don't want you to ask them too many questions about what's going on. So you have two people who are just flowing in their own environment and watching each other and coexisting together. So which is really, really good. The only thing that I find is it's like a catch-22. It's a gift and a curse, because a reflector is going to change a lot. Just through their, the way that they do things, careers. They're going to have a lot of emotional changes in life. It actually works for a manifesting generator because they're constantly so busy doing stuff all the time. They have multiple things. They have multiple projects. They're all over the place. However, the only thing that's going to frustrate a manifesting generator is maybe the way that a reflector takes their time doing stuff. Manifesting generators are really, as you heard me talk about, and I talk about all, it's about quickness and doing things, just multiple things all the time. That doesn't make it right. It just makes them, that's how they function. So that's why I love manifesting generators and reflectors. That would be my second pick. There's some really good things in there for both of them. The recognition, the informing and asking for a manifesting generator, respecting their privacy on a manifesting generator side. And then you have a reflector who you need to respect their privacy and their energy. So there's a lot of admiration for each other. There's a lot of good, healthy boundaries when it comes to a reflector and manifesting generator relationship. Like I said, the things that might sort of throw them off is that reflectors need a sounding board. They need someone to talk to. And sometimes a manifesting generator doesn't give you the room to do that because they are always, in a way, trying to solve a problem the fastest way as possible. So that can get a little bit of annoying. But overall, I like reflectors and manifesting generators if I had to choose a second pick. Of course, the next one would be a generator. In generators, of course, for many reasons, my love for generators, because generators, that need for consistency, that need for, them needing you, honoring their responses, all of that stuff. So the same thing with a reflector. It's the same kind of thing. You need to recognize them, respect their energy, respect their space, be okay with them needing you. And then you have to be okay with the generator needing you. And then also too, the consistency aspects with these two are phenomenal, because you have a generator who is on this journey of mastery, whatever they're doing, or mastering something at that particular time in their life. And then you have a reflector who thrives and needs consistency. So you have two people who are on a journey, who love their journeys. And if they, love their journeys even more, they're like really going somewhere, then that time kind of passes by. It is not dreadful of, oh, you're not a doctor yet. It's, they're making the most of their time together while they're on their respective journeys separately. So I love the consistency of generators, period. And so when you have a reflector who needs consistency like air, like water, then that is a good match. And then if, with reflectors in general, this is just a side note, like I said in the beginning, any aura type would work for them as long as that energy piece is being fulfilled and taken care of. If a reflector, if the energy is off, if it doesn't feel good, then they need to exit that relationship, period, regardless of if, everything else matches up or anything, because reflectors are so sensitive to energy that really has to trump everything. So it's, how do you feel around this person? How does this person, make you feel? How does their home feel to you when you're around their friends? All of those things have to be taken into account for a reflector in their relationships, because if one of those things are off, then that's going to influence the relationship, and that's going to cause problems in the relationship because of the openness of a reflector. Everything is going to be sensitive to them. So if if you're a reflector and you have a boyfriend or girlfriend and you don't like their friends, that can throw off the relationship. So I don't want to say that reflectors have a harder time pairing up with people, but I will say this, any relationship that a reflector is in where they are not happy, they are making a choice to be there, because that unhappiness that a reflector feels, they feel that from jump. It's not like, oh, he was nice in the beginning. No, they know from jump whether or not this person is good for them or not. They make a choice to be in that situation. So, whether they're having trouble getting out of it, etc., whatever. So I will say that is that reflectors have more of an upper hand on energy and whether or not someone is good for them than the rest of us. That's because they feel energy so strongly and so sensitively that they can spot those things and pick those up quicker than the rest of the aura types. So that's why it's very it's very good for people to have a reflector in their life. If you want to see if your reflector friend, what they feel about your new relationship or something like that, or your new job or your new situation, ask your reflector friend. And if they feel something, just tell them, hey, be honest with me. What do you feel about that? Because guaranteed it's pretty, that they feel, that energy that they feel is extremely important. So I say that to say generators are a great match for reflectors because of that consistency, that steady pace, not putting pressure on them. Also having a generator who doesn't want to feel pressure while they're on their journey of mastery. All of that stuff. So it's a lot of, it's just a really nice cohesion of energy. It's consistent, it's steady, it's stable. Especially if the generator and the reflector have places of work, business, or careers that they're journeying on that they truly love, that they love that path. Because one thing that is very true about especially generators, when a generator is on their path, when they are aligned with their path, with who they're really supposed to be, and they're really into that, once that is like checked off that like box for them, it is phenomenal. You get, and of course I'm a generator stan, but you really get a true, and this is with anybody, I think, regardless of the aura type. When someone is aligned with their path, with their purpose and their destiny, and that is checked off their list, you really get to see a different side of a person. They're able to, I would say, love you better. They're able to give you more of themselves when they are walking in their purpose, when they're walking in their destiny, because that is safe and secure for them. They know why they're here. So when it comes to generators, and then you have a reflector, if they know why they're here, it's really nice. So, but that goes for any aura type. And any aura type. If when you are aligned with who you are and who you're supposed to be, then I'm going to do a podcast about this, about purpose and all of that stuff. Because it's just really important for people to really get that. Because I know that that's my purpose. I'm here to help people figure out why the hell they're here and how to make the most of it. That is what I'm here to do. That is my purpose. And so when I see people, who I've worked with, or who I work with currently, or just who I talk to, and they're really aligned with their purpose, it is just like a magical thing. It's just a different person when you know why you're here, what you've been put on earth to do. So that's off of my, let me get off my soapbox, but that's my second, my third match. Is it? Yeah, third. Yeah, my third match for a reflector. My fourth match would be a manifestor. I like that. So manifest, and the reason you're like, well, why would I put reflector last for several reasons, but I'll get into that. But I love manifestor reflector relationships because of some of the similar things with the generator, the respecting of the privacy, the waiting, those boundaries, trusting each other, not needing you kind of thing on the manifestor end, but also I love when you have a partner who can show the other aura type something that they need. So manifestors, because they are people who just start stuff and they have a hard time completing things, a reflector, like I said before, they thrive off of consistency. So a manifestor is going to see that. A manifestor is going to, say, oh, wow, they're consistent with this. They're consistent with that. So let me try and be consistent as well. The only thing that some of the things that I don't like is that whole, manifestors, that whole keeping up with them. They're just going to like leave. If you can keep up with them, you can keep up with them. If you can't, you can't. But you have to know that. So that's the only thing. But reflector, the last pick would be reflectors. Um, I don't like reflector relationship. That's my last one for them. Because that I prefer, and like I told you, the creators and downloaders of Human Design Raw, he always, in the trainings that I have, he likes when aura types are in relationship with aura types. I don't believe that. Um, but mostly with reflectors, because I prefer a reflector to have someone with, um, I would prefer them to have someone with a defined sacral center to mirror, to be in a relationship with, because reflectors can have a tendency to get in the space where it might seem like depression, but their environment, if it's not right, if their job is not right, they can really fall down a little, a little slump of, just disappointment and anger and not feeling, like they belong in the world, a lot of that stuff. So I like them to personally be with someone who is a little bit more, vibrant and has a little bit more energy, go-getter kind of thing. And the reason why, of course, projectors don't have, um, defined sacral centers, but of course, there's tons of projectors out here who are conditions like generators. And so they still have that kind of oomph, I hope that makes sense to people. But and anyway, it's really rare. I've never even met a reflector couple. It's very rare anyway. So, but if you are one, write me, because I have questions for you, because I want to know, if you're two reflectors together, how are you making it work? Just because I just don't feel it. It can be, when it comes to relationships, human design, astrology, all of these modalities, and spiritual self-development tools, if you cannot help who you fall in love with. However, when the stars align and things are right and everything matches up, I really hate when people don't work on that and they don't give it a chance. Especially if it's not somebody who's not beating you or hitting you or like talking down to you or whatever. When you don't give that a chance, because of the potential that is there is magical. And so I feel that reflector relationships, can have a slippery slope of not a lot of forward movement. That's just my opinion. Prove me wrong or whatever. Write me and say, no, me and my reflector, boo, we're doing great. I would love to hear from you if you're a reflector in a relationship with a reflector, because they need that push. They need that drive. And energy is super important to them. So just keep that in mind. If you're a reflector, make sure that, above all, regardless of someone's aura type or my picks, make sure that the energy is right for you. And that goes for any aura type, but mostly reflectors, because they have all open centers. So they have no other choice that's going to hit them harder versus in someone who has defined centers, or even one or two or three defined centers. That energy, what they're feeling, is going to hit them a lot harder. So just keep that in mind. So that is my top 5 for my reflector boos. I hope you enjoyed this. Next up, I'm going to be talking about some astrology things. Not a lot of astrology. Let me just make this clear. Astrology is my first love. I can read charts. Astrology, I don't like to, but I like certain aspects of astrology. So anything I talk about is going to be specifically about 3 planets and your north node. That's as far as it's going to go over here. There's tons of other astrology podcasts and great astrologers out there. I love astrology, but I love certain aspects of astrology that I have studied down, that I just truly love. And that's what I'll be talking about here on this podcast. But mostly, like I said, as the title goes, spiritual self-development, astrology, metaphysics, human design. We're going to get more into these topics, and because the people want it. And I'm very knowledgeable about this stuff, guys. I've been studying a lot of these things for years and all of that. So it's just, whoever, because I'm sure a lot of people won't listen to this because they're not reflectors, but reflectors, you'll have an in on this. I want to thank you all so much for listening. It means a lot to me because this is not my first round. This is not my first go round at the rodeo. This is my third podcast, and just due to the fact of me not being comfortable with my voice at a certain time, and my knowledge and my wisdom and all the things that I've learned, it took me a while to get here. So I thank you guys for listening, and for appreciating and loving the work that I do, because this wasn't an overnight thing. This is years and years and years in the making. So I appreciate you all, and I'll probably say that on the next podcast too. Anyway, but thank you so much. Once again, thank you for listening, and make sure you have a great day filled with good vibes and great energy. And if you have questions, or if you want a reading, I'm offering my me and my guide sessions, which are, you can click the link in the bio. They're on there. They're also on in the work with me section. Relationship readings, all of that stuff. I have courses and workshops and masterminds coming out, and tinkering away at this book, child. That's coming up. So until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of Is My Aura on Straight. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at AC Brown, and also check out my website for products and services at www.acbrown.com. And until we meet again, make sure you have a great week filled with good vibes and good energy.